Welcome back to the LeBauer Show. Hey, look, my name's LeBauer. Here's what I want to do today is I just want to review a couple things that have happened so far this year in our business and really for a lot of my clients. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what's possible because I've seen some brand new things that are absolutely possible for business owners and cash practice owners in the last few months, which is really impressive, and it's going to piss a lot of people off, or it can piss people off. And I just want to talk about it. So a few weeks ago, I was out in Utah for 5 days meeting with my clients. So in our Platinum Mastermind program, 3 times a year for 2 days, we meet in person. And it looks a lot different now than it used to. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do. I want to tell you about some of the results we got too, but we meet in person for 2 days. And so we met in Park City for 2 days at a Courtyard Marriott, and we masterminded together. But here's some of the results that I think are just incredibly amazing. We had a therapist there who's been doing PT for 20-something years. Went on her own recently, Mary Bengoa, went on her own recently and is doing 20K months in a town in the middle of nowhere. Like, you'd be hard-pressed to find it on Google Maps. She lives near Elko, Nevada, which is in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to have to go look up Mary's town. But I remember Elko because when I was racing bikes and driving across country, I was living in San Francisco, and we went through Elko. And there's been a couple times I've driven that route where we had to make it to Elko to stop to get gas. It's in the middle of nowhere. And Mary told me, she's like, I even feel kind of bad about it, but the people that are happiest to pay my 200 plus, I don't know if she's charging $225 a visit, her fees are the farm workers there. The farm workers are willing to pay cash, and they see the value. And, at the same time, people will roll up in a BMW or Mercedes and be like, that's too expensive. Well, it's who values what you're doing? And so I just want to share, I think that's dope, and then she's also got a bottleneck of, time and helping people and working on some marketing pieces. But, okay, great. She's crushing it in the middle of nowhere. There's a couple other people that are killing it. Maria Wisman she actually joined our program before she graduated almost a year ago, because she saw the value in it. And she got out and did, I think, 9K her first month in business before she even was licensed as a physical therapist. She came to our retreat in May instead of going to her graduation to walk. And then over the summer, built a program. And then one of the things that we did together at the retreat was work on her leads. I mean, she's got a really big Instagram, but the thing is she didn't have any emails. And she's brought in, I wish I could remember. It's 700 or 1,000 leads in the last few months. While we were at the retreat, she created a Facebook ad. And she had, I think, in that afternoon, she created an ad during our implementation hour and already had someone come in through her ad and buy something, and it got 19 leads, and she was getting dollar leads. And dollar leads on Facebook are really hard. That's something you could do 8 years ago, but these days I'm happy with $20 a lead because I know I can make more money on the back end. And then Maria stayed for the optional ski, and so we had a ski lift mastermind. I was chatting with her and talking about, she's got a lot of people, but they don't live in Ohio, and they want to do more of an online program. We've kind of done it. And so what we did was we need some people, not just to buy a one-time thing, but to buy a monthly membership. And on the ski lift, we brainstormed a strategy for her to, she went that afternoon and created the post and got 10 sales calls booked. Then the next day she got a few more booked, and she enrolled a couple people into this program, and which is going to be a big mover for her because she's got tens of thousands of people that follow her on Instagram, but aren't enrolled in some program. And she's doing strength for cheerleaders, but cheerleaders don't want to get strong. They want to get into their program. And it was brainstorming time. And so I was like, what's that name? It's called Making the Mat. So her brand new program is called Making the Mat, which is dope. And guess what? Maria's not even a year out of PT school. I got another new grad, Odell Miller, who his first official opening date was in January. And when we chatted on our new patient strategy call back in like August, he was like, well, I don't open till December. I was like, well, how long do you want to wait to start helping people? And so he opened his business before his official like opening and lease date. And he did $33K in December, probably his fourth month in his like cash practice, which is dope, and Odell is Odell an outlier? He's not an outlier. He's just an exceptional person. He was a former NFL player, and in PT school, he was already doing like 15 and 20K months doing fitness and weight loss. And he came in our group to open a cash practice, and he's got a big, massive vision. And this guy isn't 6 months out of school. And you know what? That's going to make you mad because you've been out for 20 years and you're not doing the same. And some of these guys are Maria, Odell. They're brand new. They're a couple years in. Joey Seaforth did 44K in January. And as a solo therapist, I think that's like 5,000 or 5 or 6,000 in online sales for a shoulder program he's doing. And he's hustling his ass to put together programs, and he's selling at high prices in Denver, doing something a lot of people don't think is possible and don't think is real. He's also only a couple years out of school. So look, I led with Mary because Mary's been doing this for a while, but there's new grads that are coming out and they're crushing it because they don't have to unlearn things. And maybe they're not as good at treating patients as you and I do, but guess what? Being a skilled physical therapist is not the thing that people want to pay for. I had someone just message me yesterday, Aaron, what do you think about this? I'm thinking about I'm a CSCS. I'm thinking about doing the OCS and then opening my practice, in a year and a half. You know what? Your degree doesn't matter. Well, you have to have a degree for touching people in physical therapy, but like the OCS, that doesn't matter. Patients don't look at me and go, oh, Aaron, you don't have an OCS, you can't help me. Like that's something other physical therapists want you to have because it helps them feel better about the amount of time and money they've spent studying stuff. The difference between some of these young guys and some of you more seasoned physical therapists is that they're prioritizing lifestyle and they're prioritizing learning business. While everyone else is prioritizing being a great clinician and the best clinician. Great clinicians don't make more money. Good business people make more money and help more people. Okay? There's no way that you're going to help 1,000 people a year all by yourself unless you're doing like 15-minute treatments and seeing a bunch of people. Like, how do we help thousands of people a year? We take what we know, we pass it along to the next generation, we empower them to see more people, and then we magnify our reach. And that's what I do. Someone asked me the other day, do you miss treating patients? This was actually yesterday over coffee. Do you miss treating patients? I was like, well, I treated patients for 20 years. And I was comfortable seeing, anywhere from like 18 was a sweet spot for me, but 22 to 24 people a week was great for the type of body work and work I do. 25 patients a week, I'd feel kind of tired at the end of the week. I'm like, I needed, that was a lot. But if I can help you go from 0 to 25 patients a week, or even take your business from 50 patients a week to 200 patients a week, like now I've magnified my impact by helping you magnify your impact. So let me tell you another story. There's another one of our members, Sarah Martinez. She's got 4 kids. She's not a brand new PT by any stretch of the imagination, but she enrolled in my program Cash PT Blueprint a couple years ago and got some results, but it wasn't quite like what she wanted. And she joined our mastermind program a little over a year ago. And she steadily built up a practice for herself in her house, doing like 2K a month, 3K, 5K, 8K months, then all of a sudden 15 and then 20K months. She actually retired her husband he's now working with her in her business. He's a pastor and, was traveling around and filling in, but driving all over the state of Texas. And it wasn't serving them, and they homeschool 4 kids. So look, Sarah is crushing it. She's done 20K months homeschooling 4 kids. I can't even pretend to homeschool 2 kids, much less 4. Like, that's not the kind of parent I am, but that's what they're doing. And she's already hired someone else. She's working on, finding the right fit therapist to treat her patients and to grow her business, right? She's doing it in a way that's serving herself and her husband and her family. And Sarah and her husband were out with us in Utah as well. They stayed to ski for a few days and have dinner and kind of mastermind with us and really just like build out a plan. And Sarah's one of our newest member in our Project Yellowstone group, which is our group for people doing 20K or more. They've been in our mastermind for a while. And you have a big vision for leaving a legacy for your family and our profession. And in this way, we're helping people, or I feel like I'm helping people leave this place, leave this earth a better place than we found it, leave our profession in a better situation than we found it. So those are some of the things, and like it might piss you off because someone else is doing something that you haven't done that you're totally capable of doing, but maybe, for one reason or other, like you were never given permission to do, or the APTA, PPS told you couldn't, and you were like, yeah, I can't. Or maybe you have to unlearn things. I can tell you this, the people that have been in business the longest have the most to gain, but the most work to do. Alan Ling is, if you've listened to the podcast long enough, you've heard me interview him. He spoke at PT BizCon, and he's been a good friend. He was one of my early mentors in PT school. When I did my final clinical rotation in PT school, I did it in El Cerrito with Alan. Alan paid me. I had a stipend. I was the only person in my class to get a stipend for this 6-month clinical rotation. And at the time, I helped Alan bring on a massage therapist in the business and do some other things. But he was one of the few people that encouraged me to, that I could do cash. But he didn't know what to charge, and that's where I wasn't charging the right amount. But he helped me and mentored me. And then over time, when I was talking to him about coming to PT BizCon last year, he was like, oh, that's a good idea. He's like, no, these guys, you can't charge cash. I was like, Alan, there's people getting on stage that have a business in the same town as you do who are doing $1 million in cash. He was like, what? I was like, yeah. Alan and I decided to do some private coaching together. And we basically took a $10,000 VIP day and split it into 2 sessions, where first session was with him, and then, or actually 3 sessions. I did a session with him, and then I did a session with him and his team, talking about selling physical therapy and helping them get the mindset around charging cash for PT. And then we did a second session about 6 weeks ago, where it was with him, his PTs, and front desk. And this was only an hour. And we went through and I chatted with everyone. And we gave the front desk a script. And in the last few months, like Alan called me this week and he was like, Aaron, you won't believe this. He was like, I've got a brand new PT who just started, who 8 of the 15 people on his schedule are cash. And Alan's like seeing 18 cash paying patients a day, up from like 1 to 2, 3 or 4 months ago, which has brought in an additional $30,000 a month in his business, because he's got like a high volume, 1 patient at a time PT clinic. It's mostly a network out in California, but they're moving out of network because the insurance doesn't pay enough for them to keep the lights on. But they're going slow, and it's taken him, I've known Alan for 16 years. It's taken him a long time to move the needle, and he still has room to go. He still could be charging more especially in California. I think they're doing like $100 every 30 minutes. They should be doing like at least $150 every 30 minutes. But, you've got more momentum, you got a bigger ship, it's harder to turn it. At the same time, when you come out the gate from PT school going, this is what I'm going to do, it's going to be easier to charge higher prices and grow your business faster, because you got you got a little bit less to lose, but you still have a lot to gain, and you got less to unlearn. And so that's kind of, what we've been doing. And I want to give you something really useful and helpful for you in this. And I want to tell you a little bit about what we did a few weeks ago in February of how these things come about. And so there's a couple things. Like when we meet for 2 days, we do, it's called momentum coaching, hard to describe. But we have to do is we have to focus on what's working, because if we focus on what's wrong, then we're just going to be in the negative mindset. But we focus on what's working, and we chart our wins and chart our lessons, and we make some plans for the future. And we do this cool exercise called Shoulders of Giants. And then we also do a mastermind. And the two things are basically, group members teaching 10-minute strategies and 10-minute tactics. But the whole idea is that none of us are as smart as all of us. Like Aaron didn't get a 1600 on the SAT. I've done this, but if someone can take a strategy and improve it and teach it back to us, and then we can move even faster. And so we do that. And that's what we do most of the first day. We did a hot seat with Joey Seaforth, and I mentioned Joey did 44K in January, which is dope. And how did he do it? Here's how he did it. He sold at higher prices, but he also increase the lifetime value of his clients by selling them long-term plans of care and add on, you got to come in for the 8-visit episode of Care or Plan of Care, but you have bigger goals. So let's do an add-on thing where you're paying ahead for the year of so he got a handful of people to pay ahead for a year of therapy. So think about it. How could you do that? How could you extend the lifetime value of someone who's already paying you money? Because it's easier to sell something to an existing customer than find a brand new customer. The other thing we did that first day I called it the co-pilot. It's like me sitting in the front seat of the rally car with you, telling you which way to turn. First thing we have to do is go up into the helicopter and find the bottleneck. And we did this in 2 different ways, first day and second day. The second day we did an implementation hour where it was really open up your computer and let's find something that it's been taking you months to figure out, or it's going to take you 45 minutes to do, and you just need someone looking over your shoulder. And we looked over the shoulder for people doing their automations and DPTpreneur. That was Mike and Christy. Doing an offer. Dee and I worked on an offer for a new PT, as well as Joey and Hannah, his fiance, gave them a spreadsheet that I have for estimating salaries to create an offer letter to hire someone. We did sales pages, etc. That's sometimes what you need is just someone looking over your shoulder to do it. And in between that, then the second day we did our transformation contest, and we do this 90-day game plan and build out a roadmap. And so based on that, let me just share with you, I shared with you some of the transformation contest finalists. But let me just share with you some other little piece that's going to give you something tangible right now. And that would be to open up your phone to Google Keep or a note stock, or pull out a piece of paper, 3x5 card, and write down a number. And this is the number which if you could make this per year, you'd have more than enough for yourself and more than enough to give away. I want you to know what that number is. Because when we're creating a game plan in our program, we're looking at where do we want to be in a year or 3 years? But I never really want to hit that 3-year number because I always want that to move out. But a lot of people struggle with going, well, how do I quantify making a lot of money? And this is how you're going to do that. I want you to think of every dollar in your list as a thank you note from a patient or client that you've helped. Money is just thank you notes. It's a way to quantify how many people you've helped or how much you've helped people. When we're afraid of money, we're going to have a hard time asking for money. And the funny thing is the last 2 reels that I've done, I've got an ad. I did one talked about money, about what insurance companies are making, and I did one that talked about an objection I got the other day on money. And they get the most comments because it triggers so much for people. So if you just know how much you want to make, and then you double it or add another 0 to it and go, okay, if I could make that much, how much more good in the world could I do? Write that number down and look at it. And I can tell you what, there's people out there in the world that look at that and go, that's not enough. It's just not enough. But you weren't trained to think like that. Probably family, school, like even the school system just wants you to be a good worker. But people that impact the world think differently, act differently, and do bigger things. And you have it in you to go big. And so you just have to think really big, and it has to feel uncomfortable. There is nothing about business that should feel comfortable. Like, it'll feel good, but it shouldn't be like, if you don't feel uncomfortable, if you feel comfortable with your goals are too small. Your goals must feel uncomfortable. They must make you think like, I'm crazy, or people are going to think I'm crazy, or that's unattainable. And that's it. And then you take that goal. Okay, there's a number. There's an amount of time you want to spend doing your business. Like people like Jess Jenny is doing 40K months working 2.5 days a week. I mean, could she make more if she worked twice as much? Maybe, but she's got a lot of it automated and she didn't need to. Right? Like, that's pretty fucking dope. So, but you got to have a big goal, and then we got to work backwards from it. Because if I know where you are now and where you want to be in the future, then we can reverse engineer a plan to get you there. And that's what we do in that second day, where everyone leaves with a 90-day game plan with one project to make their business better, one project to make money, and a couple other projects when those get done, right? There's a lot to do, but you don't have to do it all. You have to do that one thing. And that's how you find the value in a training, a course, a coaching program. Like, courses and coaching programs are expensive. The fallacy that people have is that you need to do it all. You don't need to do it all. You just need to do that one thing that gets you the ROI, right? You just need that one thing. Everything else is bonus, right? It's not about how much time we spend together. It's not about how much it costs. It's like, what are you going to do with it? Like, one of these reels that triggered someone was me talking about the massage table I bought 25 years ago now, in 1999. In January 99, I bought a $950 massage table. It was a $1,200 massage table, but it was from the 96 Atlanta Olympics and been refurbished. And that table's easily made me $100,000. Easily, probably $1 million. Probably $1 million, because of the number of people I've seen on there and the amount of dollars it's allowed me to generate by treating people on it. But at the time, that was an expensive purchase. And what happened was I had someone say, hey, well, I couldn't possibly spend $100 a week to get started in your course. I couldn't possibly spend, I need to see patients first, right? Like, I get it. The objection is probably you don't think cash is going to work for you, but sometimes you need to invest money to make money. So that massage table was an investment for me. And it's an investment that's still paying off. Like, I can whip it out and go treat people today. Right now, I don't do that. Dr. Chris is treating patients across the street, and he's not using that table. He's using another table because that table is at my house, to work on my kids or, friends or whatever. I've got it there, and I can take it and go. I've got a license, and I got my hands. I got my brain. I can go leverage it to make money. But I spent money on that in 1999 on a credit card that no longer exists. And that's what kind of one of these things I want you to understand. There's one that's like, how do we do it? But really this whole idea is big goals, invest in the right things to grow your business for years to come. Because whether we're hanging on this podcast or not, if you learn one or two tools or strategies from the podcast, my book, or enrolling in a coaching program with me, they're going to stay with you until you're done in PT. But you don't even have to stop using them in PT. You can use them to sell online courses and coaching. You can coach other physical therapists. You can use these strategies. These same strategies work in real estate. Same follow-up and nurture, email marketing, sales strategies work in other industries. Just imagine if you're my classmate who left PT to go do medical device sales, and you had an automated text and email system to follow up with all the dentists that you see on a regular basis and just check in with them, and you can automate that process. How many more sales would you make? So that's the other mistake, people thinking this is really specific to PT. I'm a PT, you're probably a PT. But 90% of what I teach isn't specific to PT. I make it specific to PT because I use it in my business. And I think if you look at the overall scheme of things, like that's all this is. Aaron's a redheaded PT who went and learned business outside of our industry and brought it to PT so I could help people grow and scale a cash-based business when everyone told me it was impossible. And now there's so many people teaching it, like no one really realizes it's impossible like it was. They think it's hard for them. But the landscape has changed. And if I look at one thing, I go, wow, like I had a hand in changing that, which is, someone mentioned, was it Greg Todd mentioned to me the other day? He's like, Aaron, you've probably, single-handedly had an impact on creating hundreds of millions of dollars for PTs in their business, in creating businesses and whatever, like, because no one was really talking about cash PT before, like on blogs and YouTube and all the things before I started. When I got into this, it wasn't there. And so, there's other people who've been doing it for a while too, but like this was a thing that didn't exist or people didn't want to talk about and they didn't want to share. And that's one of the most powerful things that I think you can do is share what you know. And so if you're really good at something, if it's mentoring other PTs, teaching Con Ed, doing shoulder programs, internet programs, etc., like that's also something like we can work on or you can work on, you should be doing. You should be teaching what you know to other people. And if you want to sell something online, you got to have a presence online. Or you're just going to, you can sell it locally to people, but just understand that the opportunity is out there for you. And I know like I've kind of gone in a couple different places. If you've got ADD, you probably followed me. If you don't, you're probably like, where's he going with this? I'm just telling you that there's a lot of opportunity. There's a way that I help people get it, which is a lot of fun, like going to Utah and then going skiing. Like that's dope. Like I'm super grateful to have like this opportunity to help people and mentor people. And maybe you want to come along on that journey, or maybe you want to do it on your own. If you'd like some help, just go find me on Instagram at Aaron LeBauer. Shoot me a message. You can say, help, but just say strategy, and we can chat and see and get you a 90-day game plan and strategy to grow your business. If it's a good fit, great. If it's not, I'll point you in the right direction. The thing is that if you never ask for help, no one's going to help you. And if you try to do it on your own, you might probably get there. But just imagine if you could get there faster with less mistakes and avoiding the same $1 million mistakes that I've made and I've helped our clients avoid. Like, what if you could just do it even better? And if you can, and you feel like you're okay with, a mentor and a coach because you've had one in PT and your sport, like the business coach is a great fit. It may not be me, and that's okay, but find somebody because it's going to help you help more people. And all I truly want is for everyone to win because there's enough medals to go around. But if we're riding the same race in a bike race, I'm going to kick your ass. You better believe it. But if we're all about helping people, we're not racing against each other. Like this is like physical therapy, helping patients is not a race against each other PTs. It's a race against insurance. It's a race against patients going into surgery. It's a race against them going into surgery and dying on the surgical table, getting an injection and told there's no hope for them when actually there is. That's the race that I'm riding. And if you want to come ride that race and be a teammate with me, hit me up over on Instagram. I'll catch you on the next episode. Talk soon.